Hi everyone, welcome back to Meter Spaces. I'm your host Era, and as always, I'm here with Shohan Zhu, the founder of Meter.io. Hi Shohan, how are you?
Hey, Eric. Great to see you again. Long time no see. Yeah,
Good to
and
see you too.
great
Yes, we took a
to see everyone as well. I mean, not see, basically. Be
we
able
took a
to
small
talk to everyone.
hiatus.
Yeah,
Yes. Good to be back online. And
yeah.
we have a really exciting guest here with us. BG is here from SubQuery, and we're going to hear a bit
Hey,
about
BG.
him and a bit about what the platform and the company does. So, BG, hi, welcome. Thank you for coming. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Hey everybody, yeah, so excited to be here. So my name is BJ, I'm one of the contributors to SubQuery. I'm personally based in Europe, but the team is distributed. Some of the members are based in New Zealand, some of the members are based in Singapore. Yeah, excited to be here.
Nice, good. And before we get into SubQuery and what you all do, can you give us a bit of your background in terms of how you got involved in this type of work, in this industry, a little bit of context for you?
Wow, so
And also about SubQuery as well. Yeah.
so data in Web3 is really a mess. It's not structural. It's not really easy to work with. So, for instance, if you take like any wallet that is essentially a decentralized application, as it's able to sign the transaction, then execute the transactions, and it also supports the events, but it cannot really cover like its basic cases without like such things as an index. As a cases, I mean like the list of transactions. So there is no way to call a single RPC request from a blockchain and get a list of transactions. So it'll have to be pre-indexed by a certain software, a middleware. It's called an indexer, and this middleware will serve as a API for those wallets. So it's a huge opportunity, and it's a thing that is needed in the space to build the great dApps. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so SubQuery is obviously addressing what you just described. Tell us a little bit about them and how long have you all, like, when was the firm founded, and a bit about the team, and obviously then maybe you can expand on like what challenges in the industry you're trying to address.
SubQuery was founded around 2 years ago. We had a great progress on multiple aspects. So not only we're building SDK, it's an easy to use SDK that is supported by Docker, that is like very easy to use, and I'm going to prove it to you during the demo. But we're also providing a so-called end-to-end solution that's actually a part of my contents of the presentation that I was planning to give, but I can probably repeat the part. So apart from the SDK, the indexer, we're also providing the managed services, which is essentially a cloud that is allowing to easily host a indexer that you've just built using our own SDK. Also, there is a network, a decentralized solution for that. So why it all started is because there is no decentralized way to query data from a blockchain, from the indexes, to cover the use cases that I've been referencing about the wallets. So you cannot trust a API like just a centralized company hosted somewhere and that is just accepting the requests. So we're trying to come up with a decentralized network for data. So we're already covering a lot of chain families. We're covering Polkadot, Ethereum, and Cosmos. And some sneak peek. We're also introducing a SubQuery 2.0 in the future. Actually, it's going to be happening in a couple of days. So
Oh, a couple of days. Wow.
Yeah.
So, like, do you have a developer background? How did you get involved with SubQuery? I mean, were you like one of the founders or like early participants or like contributors?
I'm actually not a founder, no. I'm one of
Okay.
the builders. yeah, I was one of the first contributors, and I was probably one of the first users. So I was building my own wallet, and I used the first version. I had it in the Polkadot ecosystem, so it was a substrate-based blockchain. So yeah, I'm having a developer background, but yeah, now I'm helping SubQuery to grow.
Nice.
So you said you're live on some, it's already in use some places and you all are expanding, it sounds like. Tell us a bit about where you are in the, in the roadmap and what the current state looks like, and then where you all are trying to go with it.
Sure. So we are supporting already more than 120 chains, and
Oh, wow.
it's those are from different network families, yeah, including Polkadot, EVM, Cosmos. We've been, yeah, we're essentially progressing on three fronts: SDK development, a easy to use SDK to start indexing the different chains, the managed service, like easy to use cloud platform. It's a centralized solution to host the indexes, and it's like really easy to use, and there is a network. One of the recent features that we've released that is really interesting and it's really unique is a multi-chain support. So from a single indexer, you can easily create a from a single project, sorry, you can easily create an indexer that can connect to multiple RPC nodes from multiple network families and
Wow.
fetch data.
So you can like cross-referencing the data from
Exactly,
different
yeah,
chains.
and that's a great use case for bridges, for instance, or for the
I see.
applications that are providing the bridging services. So with a single request, you can get data from multiple chains essentially, because all this data is being stored eventually in this single database. I mean, like it's fetched from different networks, but it's stored in the same database. So that one of the biggest use cases. And regarding our future plans, stay tuned. SubQuery 2.0 is coming.
Yeah, as everyone know, like a lot of developers currently using the graph, right? Could you talk about what's the difference between the graph and SubQuery, both in terms of functionalities and also the developer experience?
Yeah. So have you ever used Graph yourself?
Yeah,
Have you
yeah,
ever?
of course, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So what was your like workflow? Like, did you run your own graph node locally and then we're trying to connect a subgraph to it, or have you been deploying it in the studio?
Yeah, actually, on Meter, we have several like test graph nodes for the developers, and also in production, we have graph nodes that are running internally as well. But obviously, I mean, we have to go through the hassle of like managing the nodes, and also, I mean, debugging the subgraph problem is not the most straightforward. I mean, unless you actually have access to the node and like see what's going on in the log. A lot of times you don't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So with SubQuery is like Docker first. So it was designed to be run in Docker in the first place, to be tested locally, and then to be published. So we're offering a Docker Compose file from the beginning. It has like three components. It's node itself. Essentially it's a indexer that is connecting to an RPC node and fetching the data. This data is being stored to a Postgres database that is again like Dockerized. And finally, there is a UI that is connecting to this database. So UI, we are providing GraphQL by default, but obviously if data itself is being stored in the database, like we store it in the relational database, we store it in Postgres. So as it is a Postgres database, an SQL language could be used for more sophisticated queries like window functions, for instance, if you want to like do rankings or something. Then what else? So a subquery is a TypeScript based indexer, and it's asynchronous. All the functions are asynchronous. Yeah, so it's
instead of in the graph, we're using Wasm to like basically write the subgraph. Like in subquery is TypeScript.
Yep.
Got it.
Exactly.
So from a developer's perspective, like if I use a subquery, what's the advantage compared to the graph will I get? Or like what kind of benefit will I get?
It's easy to use. It is. It's quite fast. It supports multi-chain features. It supports something that is called a dictionary. So essentially how it works. Instead of dictionary is another subquery project. It stores all blockchain raw data. So for the case of Ethereum, it could be blocks, transactions, and events. So there's this standalone project that is called dictionary, and you can connect your subquery project to this dictionary. In your subquery project, you're manifesting that you want to index the specific events and transactions with specific like logs probably or topics. And instead of like going over each block, it can first query the dictionary and fetch the info that in this exact block there is this exact transaction or this exact event. So that subquery doesn't really have to go all over the blockchain history. And this is a...
So the dictionary is more like a cache, or it's...
Yeah, it's it's something like a like in another index, like cache.
Okay.
Yeah, probably like cache. Exactly. So it's just like pointing like at which block exactly you can find this exact event or transaction that you're trying to actually look for. And we're running those on our premises. So users don't really have to run anything by themselves.
Got it.
And actually, we're having a official page in our documentation comparing a subquery and the graph in details.
I see.
Quickly.
Also, what's coming in 2.0? You mentioned like it's coming in like several weeks, right? Like, what's the new features or like exciting things you're...
It's yet a secret.
Oh, still a
But it's
secret?
gonna be
Okay.
huge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know like the graph recently is like start pushing their firehose, supposed to be like much more performant than the existing ones. So yeah, just curious, what's exciting about the 2.0?
Yeah. Additionally, subquery supports more family networks. So it started with Polkadot. Now it supports Algorand, Cosmos, Near EVM, Stella. What else? Like with the recent release of a new SDK, the indexing speed was benchmarked to be improved by 2.8 times. So
compared to what? Like
compared to the previous version of our SDK.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. Additionally, you can use the external libraries. So, for instance.
Oh, you mean like not just TypeScript you're written for the subquery itself? You can hook up some external processing libraries?
Yeah, that is one of the cases. The second case, you can query like any HTTP, or you can, for instance, you're interested in data. You can fetch data from CoinGecko. You want to do some like price predictions, so you can like fetch it from there. You can fetch some data from chain itself. You can try to combine it somehow and to see whether your predictions are working. Or for the case of NFTs, you can query IPFS to get the NFT metadata. And
I see. So basically, you can combine like data from different sources and do some processing yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in that case, I mean, like, because typically when you do these type of things, there's a lot of load on the indexer, right?
Yeah.
So what's the typical model like you guys would recommend for a developer? Should we run our own subquery node, or you mentioned you have some centralized hosted service as well, right? What's the relationship between the two, between the like self-maintained the node compared to like the hosted services?
Well, we always recommend to start locally
Uh-huh.
for debugging purposes. Obviously, it's a safer approach. Once you've built your project, we are, once you build your project and you're sure that it's like functioning correctly, you're essentially having free options, free hosting options. You can host it like on your cloud. It could be like anything. It could be AWS. It could be like Google Cloud. As it's yet a like Dockerized like product, it could be like deployed anywhere. The second option is our cloud. So our managed service are just like easier to use and easier to maintain. It's easy to, it's like built around SubQuery. So you're going to be first, you will first publish your manifest file to AI PFS, and then you will use this content ID to be, you will input this content ID to the, to our like managed service, and your project will like spin up automatically, and you will have like better logging. So it's just another cloud, but like it was built around SubQuery essentially.
I see.
And
I see.
third option is our network, a Kepler network, a decentralized.
You mean like a decentralized network?
Yeah.
I see.
It has a very sophisticated architectures, having its own set of actors, such as like indexes themselves, delegators, architects, and finally the consumers. Those are using those data. There are several payment models. There is a pay-as-you-go option. I really encourage our listeners to take a look.
So like in that case, how do I pay when it's deployed on a decentralized network? Do you guys have a token or like? It's okay. So what's the name of the token?
It's called KSQD.
Could you repeat it?
It's called KSQD.
KSQD. Okay. So basically, if I use decentralized network, I'll have to use that token to pay for my like subquery nodes.
Yes, for now, yes.
Got it. If I use the hosted service, I can use like credit card, those type of things.
There are actually like several tiers. So you can start with the free tier. Obviously, if you need like more computational power, if you need more speed in indexing, if you need like more connections to be simultaneously done, because one of the other features of SubQuery is that we're allowing subscriptions. So for instance, let's take a wallet that is interested in transactions. So instead of like doing the polling, HTTP polling, it could do a single like WebSocket connection and like be fetching those like new transactions as they're coming. So
got it.
Yeah,
it looks like you guys have a lot of infrastructure you have to run.
Exactly.
How have you been like supporting the project so far?
Wow, it's not an easy duty. Let's say.
So did you guys had a raise or like because like even running the infrastructure can be pretty costly, right?
Yeah, I'm not really aware of this information, so I'm really
okay.
right
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Ask this question. Sorry.
Should we jump into doing a demo, Shohan?
Yeah, I mean that'd be great.
VG would be it'd be great to see it.
Yeah.
All right. So share screen. Sorry, I haven't done the preparations from my side.
No problem. There should be a present button at the bottom that you can use.
This slide should be visible now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I've done the introduction, though. Yeah. So again, I just want to recap on the problem here that we're trying to solve, and on the end-to-end blockchain indexing solution that we're providing. So essentially, there are three components. There is a open source SDK that is supporting multiple network families. There's a managed services, a centralized solution, a cloud, and there is a decentralized marketplace. So there are plenty of things why SubQuery is a great solution if you're looking to build your own indexer. Well, it's completely open source. Not only it's open source like from like a code contribution standpoint, but also you will be able to find the requirements engineering there, and you can participate in the requirements engineering and the design of the features or the upcoming features, and essentially everything is open source. So it's easy to use. It's Docker first. It's very simple to configure. You will only have to configure 3 types of files. It's going to be something that I'll be showcasing in a demo. It's customizable. So again, like it's a TypeScript, and with TypeScript, you can do anything. Again, you can use the third-party libraries. You can do any calls, and etc. It's very fast. It's feature-rich. We're having approximately like 50 command line flags for our nodes. So, I mean, the configurations are there are a lot of configurations that could be done there. It's real time. We support the subscriptions. It's multi-chain. It's really flexible, and it is compatible. It is compatible with more than 120 networks from several families. And we've also prepared a startup project for Meter.
Nice.
It could be accessed using this link, or you can scan this QR code. Although there are several prerequisites to run your own index, you'll have to have the Node.js installed, Docker installed to launch it locally, and SubQuery CLI. Yep. And there are 3 simple steps to configure your indexer. If you have an experience with other indexes, it's not going to be something new for you. So there are 3 types of files. There's a schema file that is allowing you to define and shape a data you want to index. Secondly, there's a manifest file to configure your endpoint filters, contract addresses, and essentially the raw entities that you want to log from, that you want to fetch from the blockchain. And there are the mapping files that are helping you to transform your data and connect the things that you fetched in a raw form from the blockchain with data, with the entities you set in the schema file. So the goal of the startup project that we've created was to index all approved transactions at the contract address from the wrapped IFA. Again, on the left-hand side, you're seeing the QR code to our code base. On the right-hand side, you're seeing a guide that we've created. It describes our example in more details, but those are interconnected. So yeah, you won't lose anything if you choose either.
Yeah. Actually, it would be great if you add this to the documentation you push to the Meter docs. So the developer will know, where to look for examples. Yeah.
Exactly. And recently our PR was approved, and we're excited to be featured in your documentation.
Yeah.
Are there any questions before we move to a demo part?
Yeah, actually, nowadays a lot of people basically forking other projects and basically reusing existing code, right? Are there any like a project that's already using SubQuery, so new developers can look at their code base and like better understand how to use SubQuery and build their like GraphQL information collection and indexing?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Meter is just one of the examples. We have I think more than 70 examples ready for multiple chains. So if you open our GitHub, if you open our repos, you will see, if you type starter here, you will see a starter repo for each family network we support. So there's one for EVM, for Stella, for Cosmos, for Concordant, for Nia. If you go to Ethereum, you'll see the long list of examples.
How about like some DApps? Like, I mean, are there any DApps that's? I mean, because started project is typically a simple one, right? Are there any like more sophisticated DApps that the user can look at their open source code and learn like more advanced ways of using SubQuery?
Yeah, a lot of projects use us. So probably you heard of Fetch.ai, which is essentially a solution that tries to combine the AI capabilities with blockchain, and they've built their indexer based on our infrastructure. Additionally, the major Polkadot explorers are utilizing our indexer to index.
Oh, they're actually using your indexer to build the Explorer. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So also many wallets, not only in the Polkadot, but also on the other chains. Those are featured. Those should be featured on their official website. Yeah, the list is big already.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead if you have like a demo that you want to show us.
So here is here's an empty VS Code project. It's called demo. So I just want to showcase you how simple is it to start developing using SubQuery. What I have to do is simply type SubQuery init. Then I have to give the project a name. So it's going to be a meter starter. Then we can select a network family to like use the pre-built templates that we're offering. In other case, it's VM networks, obviously, and here's meter. And here's a list of templates that we're supporting. So meter starter is the one that we need. So already have the project prepared. So the fetching may take some time. So if you press enter here, you will end up having this project.
Got it.
So it has several files, and yeah, let's just go through them. So the first thing that you have to do is install the dependencies, as the project is utilizing TypeScript. Yeah, it is utilizing our dependencies. So you have to run npm install yarn for that. Usually takes a minute to import the dependencies. But now let's talk about like three kind of files that you'll have to configure to make your indexer work. So the first one is a schema GraphQL. So we're trying to index the approval transactions from the GraphDeffer smart contract, and the only entity we're going to be indexing and be queryable essentially is approval. So it has its own set of properties. So in order for us to like populate this entity and make it scoreable, we should fetch raw data from blockchain. The way and we are indicating we're manifesting the data that we want to fetch in raw form in a manifest file. It is configured under project.ts in our case. So just briefly going through the major configuration objects here. Here is a version of SubQuery. Here is a network configuration. We are indicating the chain ID. We're indicating the RPC endpoint that we're going to be fetching the data from. As you can see, that's an array, so you can provide like multiple endpoints, and the indexer will automatically switch to the other one if the current one is not functioning currently. And the biggest and the most important one is the data sources. So data source is an object that is allowing you to, again, like indicate exactly which data in which raw form you want to obtain from the blockchain. So let's take a look at it. We're going to be starting from this block. Obviously, you can start with it makes sense to start with the first block of the contract address. But yeah, I've chosen this because there's data that we're looking for right in this block. Also, there is an ABI. ABI is we can indicate the ABIs here to automatically generate the types so that we can like easily handle and process the data that we're fetching. So I'm going to be giving an example a little bit later when I'm going to be talking about the mapping file. Anyway, here's the address of a wrapped EFA. Here is and here are the handlers that we want to utilize. So we're only utilizing a single handler. We're indexing the transactions. You can like see it from the enum.call. And here's the name of the handler that we're using. And the only transaction, the only function, the only transaction, the only kind of function type that we want to be that we want to fetch is approve. So we're indicating this here. So what's happening? The indexer will be querying an RPC node, and when it spots a approve function in this smart contract, it will invoke a handle transaction handler, which is a TypeScript function that I'm going to be showing you right now. This function is stored under a mapping handler. So this is a third kind. This is a third type of the file that you'll have to configure in order to set up your SubQuery project. So once this transaction is being fetched, it will be passed as an argument to this function. So when it's passed, you can do like you can process it, and eventually you can save it. Just going briefly over the very short code here. First of all, we want to like index at which block we had this transaction. And secondly, we are populating the entity that we've created in the schema file with various data from this exact transaction. So in our case, it's the args of the transaction used to populate the sender and the value. Also, we use to and from to populate contract address and owner. So eventually, and then we just like save it, and we save it by a single line of code and single method .save. So another interesting thing to mention. So in order for you to like develop this without errors, you can utilize the SubQuery code generation functionality, and you can do it by typing yarn code gen.
Oh, wow.
Yarn CodeGen is creating you a new folder that is called types. So under types models, you can see the approval. That is a model for an approval class, a single entity that we've manifested here in the schema GraphQL file. Additionally, we have the ABI interfaces. So ABI interface is a TypeScript code generated from the ABI that we've provided here. So we've utilized the ERC20 standard ABI, which has its own set of functions. And then we can import it to the mapping file. So the entity approval itself is being imported from types, and the approved transaction is being imported from a different folder. And from this type, we can, as you can see, consequently get its args using TypeScript methods, which is very easy to use, and that is giving you like a safety, and it ensures that your project like won't run to any errors during runtime. So yeah, here's our toolset.
Thanks.
Any questions so far before I proceed to a Docker initialization?
So far, so good. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Fingers crossed, because like every time I'm launching Docker, I'm getting nervous about my project not running for some reason, but hopefully it's going to work now. To run your project, you will have to run a single command. By the way, all the commands are listed here. So we use build to build a project. We use CodeGen to do the type generation, the TypeScript type generation. We use start Docker to run the Docker compose containers, and we can use def as a command that essentially like merges all of the above commands. So first it's like doing the code generation, then it's build, and then it's Docker compose containers being run. So I can simply type yarn def. Oops. Yarn def without a slash. So now the project, we have generated the types, the project was built, and we're having the Docker compose containers running. So here's Postgres. Here's our node and index itself. The node is unhealthy. All right, we're having an issue with the RPC. So something wrong.
Yeah, maybe you change to the official RPC. Yeah, rpc.meter.io.
rpc.meter.io. Okay.
IO.
IO.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Additional data is being stored on the data folder here. So it's if you want to like reboot your project completely after you've done certain changes to your schema file or to manifest or to a mapping file, you will need to remove this folder first. So I can do it by typing ref.data, and then I can do a and then I can run yarn def. Fingers crossed once again. I used this previous endpoint. Oh no, I haven't saved my file. I've used this previous endpoint like before the workshop, and it worked. So hopefully it will work now. All right, and it seems like it is working now. So we can look at the logs now. So here is the current block that is being fetched. I'm indexing by one block, but obviously it's a minimum. I just wanted to show you, I just wanted to like have a better clarity of data that we're fetching from blockchain. You can configure your size of your batch size that you want to.
Very big, small, I mean like bigger, yeah, of course.
Exactly, yeah. And you can also configure an amount of workers that will do it simultaneously for you, and that way optimizing the performance of your project. So
I see. So it can query like different areas of the blockchain at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh wow.
This is an asynchronous framework. As you can see, all the functions here are asynchronous. So it's just a mapping file, but it's an async function, and it's like saving everything to Postgres in an async manner. All right. So here at this block, we're already seeing that we're having a approval transactions found. Once you've run your Docker Compose file, you'll have this beautiful GraphQL UI that you can start querying. So that's a query that is ready prepared, and that's an output. Then we can find this transaction in the Explorer. So here it is. And here is the data that we are decoding and eventually saving and make it queryable. So there is, for Spender, there is F56 at the end, and here we have the same Spender.
I see. Nice.
Yep. What else? Additional really cool feature are the aggregations. So you can do the aggregations on top of this data. So for instance, you can have a new property called day or minute or an hour, and you can, for instance, calculate how many of approvals were done by a certain entity. So it's just a group by function in SQL terms, but it's very, very interesting and cool that you can do it from the same GraphQL interface.
Got it. So, for example, like when we talk about the multiple chains in a graph, we have to run multiple nodes, right?
Yeah.
For SubQuery, we just have to maintain one SubQuery node and just point it multiple RPCs in the configuration. Yeah. Okay, that's really nice.
Yeah. I'm not having an example for meter, but I can probably go through another one.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So
I mean, in that case, we can probably build something for the bridge, or like because we have a multi-chain application as well, and probably build something, for liquidation engine and stuff like that. Yeah,
definitely. So yeah, you can find all the examples here in this repo. But additionally, we are for each example in our repo, we are providing a quick start guide. That is, for instance, here's an example for meter with all the code snippets being described in details. But additionally, there are the quick start examples for the multi-chain projects. And let's go to a Plasma Bridge, for instance. So the quick start guide is huge, so probably it's going to be easier for me to show you the code itself. So here we have a multi-chain project for Polygon Plasma Bridge. There are two manifest files in our case. There's one for Polygon and there's one for Ethereum, as it is a bridge between Polygon and Ethereum. Here's a manifest. Oops, I'm having an issue. Here's a manifest file for Ethereum. In Ethereum, we're interested in this exact smart contract. We're interested in this exact event. And for probably, I can zoom it in a little bit so it's. And for Polygon, we're having a completely different contract address. with a completely different event topic. Then we are simply connecting it from a single SubQuery multi-chain file.
Mhm.
And then we are also creating a new Docker component. So in our case, we'll be running 2 indexes simultaneously. There is one for Polygon, one for Ethereum. It's like really easy to configure. And we're also having a tool set prepared for you and available here in our docs. So with a single command, this one, you can like have it all scaffolded for you. So
Nice.
definitely be sure to check this out.
Yeah, this is great. Really saved a lot of hassle during the for the operation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's
That's
mostly
all
all
for
for Modemo. Yeah. Yeah. Just wanted to say that again. Here's a startup project that I've been just showcasing. We've covered what is SubQuery. We've covered all the steps to configure a project, and we've finally been able to query this data. Here's a link to our decentralized network where you can publish your own indexer. I can also probably showcase it. So it's called Kepler. And if you go, for instance, to Explorer, you can see the list of projects that are being indexed.
already published. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So for Polkadot, we're having how many? 64 indexes in total.
I see.
And those are utilizing the same manifest. They're utilizing the same configuration, utilizing the same like IPFS CID. So the configuration is like open source. So I mean, it's decentralization. Yeah, that's the network. And yeah, if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to us over communication channels.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We will definitely keep sharing this with our community and make sure that either people who haven't listened to this yet or listened to the recording have all the information. So really, really appreciate you walking us through it. It's really quite impressive.
Yeah,
and great.
really appreciate supporting our network, and we'll definitely be looking into SubQuery to build some of our products.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Absolutely.
Yes, great
Shohan,
having you.
Yeah, Shohan, anything you wanted to add, or just before we wrap up, I'll give you a final chance to.
Yeah, I think this is really nice. Would encourage all the developers in the community to take a deeper look at SubQuery and see how you can leverage. Because I know like a lot of developers are building multi-chain applications right now.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Okay, well, BG, thank you again. Really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone for listening, as always. And look for this information on our socials, and we'll see you at the next Meter Spaces.
Thank you, BG. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you, Era.
Thank you both.
Goodbye.